The Newlywed Game, Season 1, Episode 1. The Debut, a narrative episode summary. Chapter 1, Lights, Camera. Matrimony. The studio lights hummed with a bright, incandescent glow, casting a radiant spotlight onto the newly minted stage of ABC's daytime lineup on July 11, 1966. Created by television visionaries Nick Nicholson and E. Roger Muir and produced by Chuck Barris, the Newlywed Game promised an unscripted, unfiltered look into the unpredictable dynamics of young marriage. The premise pitted four newly married couples against one another in a battle of romantic intuition, marital awareness, and absolute domestic honesty. Standing at the center of the stage was Bob Eubanks, a 28-year-old former radio disc jockey whose youthful energy, quick-witted charm, and subtle, mischievous grin made him the perfect master of ceremonies. As the opening theme music faded, Eubanks introduced the rules to the audience. For young couples, all married for less than a year, would answer a series of intimate, hilarious questions to see how well they truly knew their spouses. The couple with the highest score would win their ultimate dream prize, a luxurious weekend getaway, and a suite of high-end household appliances. Chapter 2. The Rules of Engagement. The mechanics of the game were brilliantly simple, designed to maximize both romantic harmony and hilarious marital friction. Round 1. The four husbands were escorted off the stage into a soundproof isolation booth. Their wives remained on stage with Bob Eubanks to answer three revealing questions about their husbands' personal habits, domestic quirks, and romantic preferences, earning 5 points for every match. Round 2. The wives were sent into isolation, allowing the husbands to return to the stage. The husbands were asked the exact same set of questions, attempting to predict how their wives had answered. In this final round, point values doubled to 10 points per match, allowing for dramatic, last-minute comebacks. Chapter 3. Wives on the Spot. With the four husbands safely locked away in the isolation booth, the wives sat nervously in their high-backed chairs, clutching their response cards as Bob Eubanks kicked off the game. He began with a lighthearted question testing the wives' perception of their husbands' physical confidence and vanity, asking the ladies to predict how their husbands would rate their own good looks on a scale from 1 to 10, or name their finest physical asset. The first wife insisted her husband would humbly rate himself a middle-of-the-road 7, claiming he was far too modest despite his handsome jawline. The second wife laughed, predicting her charismatic spouse would without hesitation award himself a perfect 10, citing his lush hair as his pride and joy. Eubanks then escalated the interrogation, asking the wives to reveal the one personal habit their husband possessed that drove them crazy around the house. The studio audience erupted in laughter as the wives shed their shyness, eagerly sharing stories ranging from husbands who hid dirty socks under the couch to those who spent hours tinkering with car engines in the driveway. Chapter 4. The Husband's Return. The dynamic shifted dramatically when the wives were ushered off stage and the four husbands emerged from the isolation booth. Blinking under the bright stage lights, the men took their seats, entirely unaware of the candid confessions their wives had just broadcast to the entire nation. When Eubanks asked the second husband what he thought his finest physical asset was, the young man grinned broadly and said, "My hair." Without a doubt. His wife walked out, flipped her card to reveal the word hair, and the couple scored their first 5 points, sharing a triumphant, affectionate hug. However, the domestic habit questions triggered a minefield of hilarious mismatches. Attempting to guess what annoyed their wives, several husbands accidentally confessed to habits their wives hadn't even mentioned. One husband nervously guessed that his wife hated his loud snoring after Sunday dinner, only to discover she had actually complained about him never putting the cap back on the toothpaste tube. Chapter 5. High Stakes and Heartfelt Memories. As the broadcast entered its final segment, the point values doubled to 10 points per match. The remaining questions probed deeper into the couple's romantic histories, asking the husbands to recall precise details about their very first date or the exact context of their first major argument as a married couple. The lead traded hands twice in a thrilling back-and-forth contest. The front-running couple stumbled on a question regarding where they had spent their very first evening as man and wife, offering conflicting memories about the hotel location. Meanwhile, a quiet, underdog couple from the end of the panel began making a rapid ascent up the scoreboard after the husband calmly and accurately recalled the exact color of the dress his wife wore on the night he proposed. Chapter 6. The Final Showdown. With only one question remaining, the outcome hinged on a final, decisive tiebreaker question delivered by Eubanks, stating the exact time of day they had officially exchanged their wedding vows months prior. The underdog husband wrote down his answer with absolute certainty. When his wife was brought back to the stage to give her response, she hesitated for a brief second before softly stating, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Her husband raised his card to reveal the exact same answer, 2 p.m. The audience erupted into loud applause as the winning chime sounded throughout the studio. The young couple leaped into each other's arms, overwhelmed with joy, having proven that their romantic connection and sharp memories were unmatched. Chapter 7. A Television Landmark. Bob Eubanks walked over to the victorious couple, presenting them with their grand prize trophy along with tickets for an all-expenses-paid tropical vacation and new luxury household appliances. As the losing couples graciously congratulated the winners, Eubanks signed off with his signature warm demeanor, closing out the very first chapter of what would become a cultural phenomenon. Season 1, Episode 1 succeeded because it held up a funny, sympathetic, and profoundly human mirror to young love in America. It proved that behind the ideal facade of mid-century marriage lay a colorful world of innocent misunderstandings, endearing quirks, and genuine devotion, a winning formula that cemented the show's place in television history.